What's the real difference between a financial hiccup and a complete financial disaster? Well, in the world we live in today, just one single unexpected event could literally put everything you've ever worked for on the line. And that's where this incredibly powerful, but honestly often misunderstood tool comes into play: umbrella insurance. So let's get into what it is and why it might be way more important than you think.
To really get our heads around the power of this stuff, we're not going to start with hypotheticals or what ifs. We're diving straight into a real life story that shows you exactly what's at stake. Think of it as a cautionary tale of how fast a comfortable life can just unravel. Okay, so picture this: a family in Miami. They have a net worth of about $1.8 million. Their home, retirement funds, investments, the whole nine yards. Their entire life gets turned upside down in an instant when their teenager gets into a really serious car accident. The result? A devastating $1.6 million legal judgment against them.
Now, this family wasn't irresponsible. They had good auto insurance, not just the bare minimum. And that policy covered the first $500,000. I mean, that sounds like a lot of money, right? But it wasn't even close to being enough. That left a gap of $1.1 million. That's a number that could have completely wiped out their savings, taken their home, and torpedoed their retirement plans. This, right here, is the exact kind of financial nightmare that umbrella insurance is built to prevent.
So how in the world do you protect yourself against a gap that massive? Well, the answer isn't just having insurance. It's about having the right kind of insurance, one that's designed for these huge worst-case scenario events.
And honestly, the name itself is the perfect way to think about it. Imagine your auto and home policies are your first line of defense, but they have their limits. Umbrella insurance is this extra, much broader layer of protection that swoops in when those first policies are tapped out. It shields your savings, your house, and heck, even your future income.
How it works is actually pretty straightforward. So a big claim happens. First, your regular auto or home policy pays out everything it can, right up to its maximum limit. But then, and this is the key part, instead of you being on the hook for the rest, your umbrella policy kicks in and covers that remaining amount. It's the ultimate financial backstop. Now, I know what you might be thinking. $1 million lawsuit? That's not going to happen to me. But the truth is, the risks are often hiding in plain sight in things we do every single day. Let's run through a quick checklist and see if you might be a little more exposed than you realize. Do any of these ring a bell? Having a teenage driver in the house, owning a dog, or even just having a swimming pool or trampoline in the backyard? All of those seriously increase your liability. And it doesn't stop there. Hosting parties, owning a rental property, or even what you or your kids post on social media, every single one of these is a potential doorway for a huge lawsuit. And look, the need for this kind of protection is getting more urgent by the day. It's not just about your personal risks anymore. The whole legal and insurance world is shifting right under our feet. Let's talk about why this is so critical right now. There's a term you've got to know: nuclear verdict. These are jury awards of over $10 million. And they're not some rare, once-in-a-blue-moon thing anymore. Industry data shows these verdicts shot up 27% in just 1 year. That trend is a massive force that's driving up risk for everybody. So what's causing this explosion in giant verdicts? Well, the insurance industry calls it social inflation. It's really a mix of things. People are more distrustful of big companies, juries are more sympathetic to plaintiffs, and there are even these third-party companies that fund lawsuits as investments. It all mixes together to create a way riskier legal climate for all of us. And this trend hits you directly in the wallet. Projections for 2026 are showing umbrella insurance rates climbing by 10 to 20% across the board. And if you're in a category considered high risk, those increases could be over 100%. The market is reacting, and it's reacting fast. But here's what's even more concerning. As the risk is going up, the amount of coverage available is actually going down. Some of the biggest insurance companies are straight up pulling out of the market and stopping the sale of umbrella policies entirely in some places. It's creating a real squeeze, making it harder and more expensive to get this essential protection. Okay, so we know the risk is real, and we know the market is tightening. That brings us to the big question: what should you actually do about it? Let's break down how you can figure out exactly what you need to be properly covered. Here's a simple, actionable plan. First, just check your current policies and see what your liability limits are. Second, do a rough calculation of your total net worth. And think about your future earnings, because that's everything you need to protect. Third, you've got to make sure your main policies meet the minimums that umbrella carriers require, which is usually somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. And last but not least, shop around. Don't just take the first quote you get.
So we'll just leave you with this thought. The financial world today is more complicated and litigious than has ever been. An umbrella policy, which can often cost less than a cup of coffee a day, could be the one and only thing standing between you and total financial ruin. The real question is that a risk you're willing to take?
And of course, just a friendly reminder that this explainer is for informational purposes only. This is not financial or legal advice.